Moving on, and Israel's ultranationalist security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, has led an incursion into the Al-Aqsa mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem. Now, Thursday marks the Jewish holiday of Tisha B'Av, which commemorates the destruction of the Second Jewish Temple in the year 70 AD. Nearly 2,000 Israeli ultranationalist settlers entered under police protection. Non-Muslims are allowed inside the compound, but are not permitted to pray under a decades-old agreement known as the status quo. However, since the current far-right government took power, Israeli settlers and politicians have been increasingly defying the ban. Jordan, Turkey and Saudi Arabia have all condemned the incursion, calling it provocative.
Today in this place, always to remind us that we are all brothers, right-wing, left-wing, religious, seculars. We are one nation. Whoever looks to us from outside, they will see no differences between us, and nothing will separate us. The unity of the nation of Israel is important, and this place is important for us, and we have to return to it and prove our sovereignty.
Well, let's bring in our correspondent, Mohammed Jamjoom. He joins us now from West Jerusalem. Mohammed, what's the scene like at Al-Aqsa now?
So, Anastasia, the visiting hours for the ultranationalists who had gone into the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, which you see behind me there, those have ended. They ended a little over an hour and a half ago. It has been cleared out of the ultranationalists. The scene at the moment is calm. We're told everything has returned to normal, that the Muslim worshippers that had been denied entry to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in the last few hours, that they have now been allowed entry, that they have resumed any prayers that they want to make. And also we have been told that over the course of the day, it was reported in Israeli media that there were at least 3 Palestinians that were arrested, but there were also several Israelis, ultranationalists, who were arrested because they had attempted to pray when they were in the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, and that, as you mentioned just a moment ago, that is something that is not allowed under the status quo agreement. Anastasia?
Mohammed, Al-Aqsa has been such a flashpoint, and such incidents in the past have often led to violence. Are there any concerns around that this time?
There were concerns earlier today. There had been scenes of tension. There had been confrontations. And as you mentioned, this is a flashpoint. This is an area where things can escalate very, very quickly. That did not happen today, but still there were concerns. The fact that the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, that he led an incursion into the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, known to Jews as the Temple Mount, that is something that caused a great deal of concern. You had the statements that you mentioned from the Jordanian Foreign Ministry as well as the Palestinian Authority saying that that was against the status quo agreement, that it was a very provocative action that should be condemned. Also, we heard from the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy issued a statement in which they said that the U.S. stands firmly for the preservation of the historic status quo with respect to the holy sites in Jerusalem, and that any unilateral action or rhetoric that jeopardizes the status quo is unacceptable. That is something, obviously, that's in response to Mr. Ben-Gvir's incursion into the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. There's been a lot of condemnation in the past when Mr. Ben-Gvir has decided to make an appearance. This is the 3rd time that he has gone to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound since becoming the National Security Minister in Israel earlier this year. It's something that is seen as a provocative action because it is believed that that will encourage more ultranationalists to try to go into the compound and to try to then pray in that compound. It's a feeling of entitlement amongst them. It's something that is provocative. It's something that causes a lot of anger, and it's something that a lot of international players want to see come to an end. Anastasia?
Mohammed Jamjoom there across all the latest for us. Thank you, Mohammed. Well, Israeli soldiers have shot and killed a Palestinian teenager during their latest raid in the occupied West Bank. Witnesses in Qalqilia say that the 14-year-old boy hurled rocks at troops who then responded with gunfire. The Israeli military has been carrying out near-nightly raids, it says, to clear the West Bank of armed groups. 39 children are among 207 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in the occupied Palestinian territories so far this year.